what I'm talking about is like the super specific stuff.
Yeah,
like you were born at 3 a.m.
Right.
You were conceived 9 months before that. When were you conceived? What was going on? Like, how did this? What in the precession of the equinoxes? Where's the position of the Earth? There's a lot of weird stuff they take into consideration. I'm like, wow. I'd really like to learn about it.
Right.
Like from someone, I'm going to have someone on that really understands. I just have to have someone on who's not a kook. And that's the problem, is it's like one of those disciplines that's littered with kooks.
Right. Yeah. I find it fascinating too. And I'm a non-believer in everything. I'm very skeptical about everything, but astrology I've always kind of believed into. I mean, it's the idea that, where the sun and the stars, they have an effect on tides and currents, and why wouldn't that all have an effect? I mean, I know nothing about it, but why wouldn't it have an effect on you when you're born, and when and where, the time?
Right, and it's probably a part of nature's natural order too, to create a bunch of different kinds of people.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, what makes you who you are? There's a lot of factors, right? There's environment, there's genetics, and then there's probably some celestial shit going on.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not, I don't know enough about it but I'm open to it, because I think there's a lot of information that was lost. I think there's a lot of information that we would dismiss, from ancient civilizations that we dismiss, that I think the problem is that these ancient civilizations collapsed, and like with the burning of the Library of Alexandria, you're left with very little. Like a lot of like very important information is missing. And so then you got to kind of like go, well, that seems like bullshit. That seems like old folksy stuff. Like maybe there was
not.
Maybe they had figured something out over a long period of time, and there was a science to it.
Right. Yeah, you should have an astrologist on. That would be super interesting.
Find one who's not crazy.
Yeah.
Like a psychic. Like get a psychic on. It's not crazy. I've had people on that were remote viewers. That's another weird one.
You have?
Yeah. Hal Puthoff, who's he was running some various programs for the United States government. Specifically, I had him on, though, to not talk about remote viewing, to talk about UFOs. And he was actually brought on board during Herbert Walker Bush's administration. They, he was working for the government at the time, but they brought him on as one of the scientists that they'd got a group of people from various disciplines, and they said, we're going to compile a list of pros and cons in terms of the impact on society of disclosure of alien life. And this is what they were telling him. Wow. We have recovered crashed UFOs, and we are doing back engineering programs on them. We have for years. We also have recovered biological entities. We are thinking about disclosing this information to the American public. I want you to compile a list on the positive aspects of disclosure, how it affects society, and give a numerical value to these things, and then negative. And all these scientists came up with a much higher negative than positive, and so they didn't disclose.
And do you know what the list was? What were the negatives
it was
positives?
Religion, government, the economy.
Those were all negatives.
Those were all negatives.
It could affect religion.
Yes.
It could affect the economy.
It would affect government, and the fact that no one would ever listen to the president because he's just a bitch. The fucking aliens are hovering over our head, abducting people every day.
So this is where I think it would be interesting. I actually think that there's a positive if it were to happen right now, because it sure as hell would bring us all together. Right?
Yes. Well, that was Reagan said that. You ever see that speech?
No.
It was a famous speech that he gave in front of the United Nations. And I think he gave this speech at a time where, this was like Gorbachev, tear down that wall. It was that kind of speech where it was like trying to unite us all together. And his speech was, imagine if we were all faced with an alien threat from another world, how quickly we would unite together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's
we
the
would.
part. I mean, we need it now more than ever. So if they're out there.
I know, but is that the only way we can unite? We have to be threatened by another enemy? Right? Like, God, we're so fucking warlike. Right. We're so warlike, we need an interstellar war to unite America and the rest of the world.
It's so sad because it didn't used to be like that, right? Politics wasn't something that people talked about all day long, all the time. Like it wasn't.
That's the negative aspect of social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is all people talk about. Like even us, like, you know, there's so much interesting stuff to talk about, and yet we've spent time talking about politics but
we're talking about the fascinating aspects of politics as it affects human civilization and
No,
how
no,
and
no.
discourse.
Yes, but also like the division and the right and the left, and being careful with what you say, because what if the other side this and that? It's now in every single home, in every single conversation people have, and it didn't used to be like that. It just didn't. Like, government was there, it existed, it's supposed to work well. If it's not, hopefully there are good journalists out there exposing what's not working out well, but it should not be the discourse all the time about whether you're right wing, you're left wing, whether you're with us or not, or against us.
Yeah.
And it just taints everything and takes too much space, I think,
Yes.
for other conversations with much more important conversations
100%.
that we should be having, whether it's about AI, whether it's about social media, whether it's about aliens. They're much bigger problems that are coming in our future, and we shouldn't be so sort of tunnel focused on whether whether what we're saying is approved by the right or the left, or whether this or that. It's just
an amazing waste of mental resources.
My
And it's
fucking-
also
yes,
a way
I'm
for
so
very
drained.
uninteresting people to attach themselves to a worthy cause.
Yeah.
People that have nothing else going on in their life, and all of a sudden it's this whatever issue it is, that's their whole identity.
Yeah,
And they go all in. And it's generally a distraction for a failed life.
I think so too.
That's a lot of it. It's not doing what you really want to do, not having the relationships you really want to have, the friendships you really, and instead you're involved
there's
in
so
this
many of those.
fucking stupid cause.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that's so dumb. But you're right. If the aliens showed up, we'd probably all unite together. But unfortunately, like, I feel like the most united moment that I could remember in my adult life was right after September 11th.
Yeah, same.
Were you in America
I
at the
was
time?
in New York.
You were in New York.
I
Oh,
did
boy.
Yeah, I was.
How different was the feeling where everybody was like smiling to each other and saying hi on the street afterwards?
The elevators. I mean, I did the initial reporting for Portuguese television that day. So I was at Columbia University's journalism school. I just moved to New York a month before.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah, and I think it's
Where
so
were you
interesting.
living?
I was living on 72nd and Broadway,
Okay, so you were
Upper West.
pretty far away from the actual.
Yeah.
Did you go down?
Yeah, so I didn't go to ground zero, but I went to Midtown, to the rooftop of this building where everybody was doing sort of the satellite live feed. So you had journalists from all over the world. Meanwhile, I was 24, 25 years old. I had like zero experience doing a live feed. I just moved to the United States. It's an interesting story how I even got to the U.S. because, I applied for Columbia University 3 times. The first time I was not accepted. The second time I was put in a wait list and didn't get accepted. The third time I flew to New York and I knocked on the dean's door. And I explained, I'm Portuguese. I really want to come to this university. I want to be a journalist in America. And he sat me down. We spoke for an hour. And that year I
that's
was
amazing.
accepted.
That's
And-
amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing that you could do that.
And it taught me my first big important lesson in journalism, which is
Get in there.
persistence. Don't be afraid to get no's because, what's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah.
And but a month after this, I'm in New York. I'm sleeping in the morning, and I start getting phone calls. And I was sleeping that late because I'd been studying until really late that night, the night before. And the first phone I pick up was my television station that I'd worked for in Portugal. I'd done an internship there and worked there. And they called me and said, "Hey, turn on your television." And it was when the first tower had collapsed. And they said, "Turn on the television and see what's happening." I had no idea this was happening. And they said, "We need you to go to Midtown and we have no Portuguese journalists in Manhattan. All our journalists are in D.C. or they're outside of Manhattan. Manhattan had been locked down.